Hey, what's up guys? This is Jason with Jadren Aquatics. Thank you guys again for joining me today. I really appreciate it. If you guys haven't subscribed to my channel already, I'd really appreciate you subscribing. If you think you might enjoy watching videos of me keeping up with my 50 plus tanks in my fish room and all the new fish that are coming in and the good and the bad and the ugly, be sure and hit that subscribe button below so you'll see when I have other videos coming out. So, you walk into Petco and you walk into the aquarium section and you see that they have their aquariums for $1 a gallon. So you think to yourself, oh man, I just want one more 10-gallon tank. And you think it's only $10, what's $10? But the question is it really only $10? Yeah, the tank is only $10, but there's a lot more that goes into it other than just buying the tank. So what I want to go over with you guys today is what are the true costs of running a fish room. What are the true costs when you buy a tank and the things that go along with it and the electricity that it uses and the water that it uses? What does it really cost? You see some of these people that have all these aquariums and you're just thinking, how in the world do they possibly afford to run all those aquariums? So I decided I would sit down and kind of crunch the numbers and figure out exactly what does it cost to run a fish room. So let's start out. We have a 10-gallon tank for $10. So your first investment for this 10-gallon tank is $10. Okay, so we got our 10-gallon Aquarium aquarium for $10. All right, what do we have next? Okay, so we got to get some type of filtration for it. So we're going to use the example that I have in all of my tanks. So we've got sponge filter. The ones I use are the Hydro 5s. This one's a Hydro 1, I think. But I use Hydro 5s in all mine. I buy them in bulk, usually 12 at a time. When I buy them that way, they're $6 a sponge. Okay, so there's the first thing. We got $6 in that. Okay, so we got the airline you use. The airline I buy in 100-foot rolls, so pennies. We won't even include that in. All right, so we've got the no clog air stones. Those are about $2 each. Okay. So next we've got, so next thing we have is the siphon system that I have on all my tanks. This is the way I can quickly drain all the water out of each tank. I have one of these in each and every tank. Well, I don't have them in each and every tank right now, but I have them in most of the tanks and they're going to go in all the tanks because it makes life so much easier. So we've got the PVC ball valve, we've got the 90-degree elbows, and then we've got some pipe. So if you put all this stuff together, it's about $4 for this piece. Okay, so the next thing that we have is the polycarbonate lids that we use. So I buy this in a 10-foot sheet for 40 bucks or something like that, and then cut it down so that they go together and fit on top of the tanks. So we've got this, and then what we use for the handles are these Command work hooks. So Command work hooks and the polycarbonate just for one tank, about 5 bucks. Okay, next. I like to paint the bottom of my tanks and the back of the tanks. So one can usually does about 5 tanks. So we'll say paint's about $1. Lighting. So lighting, as we talked about in a previous video, can go 2 different ways, but it's about the same price for either way that we do it. So if we buy the Aquaneat lights that are 36-inch, covers 3 tanks, $22, about $7 a tank. If we do it this way, we've got the gutter that's by 10-foot lengths. This gutter is about $1. The light bulb itself for each individual tanks is $2.50 for this LED bulb. The next thing that we have is the socket that the light bulb plugs into. These sockets are $4. Okay. Next thing to take into consideration is the shelving that it sits on. Now, granted, you can do this a bunch of different ways, but one of the shelving units that I have costs $180 for a 6-foot wide shelving unit. That 6-foot wide shelving unit holds 18 10-gallon tanks turn sideways. Based upon that, you've got $10 in shelving per tank, because 10 times 18 tanks is $180. Now this is based upon a bare bottom system. I'm slowly starting to go to crushed coral because I'm having other issues that we'll talk about in another video. So that's another added cost if we got to use crushed coral in there. But this again is based upon a bare bottom system. Oh yeah, and don't forget the pump that pumps all these tanks. The pump is about $250 and it pumps about 10 of these tanks. So now we've got another $5 in for the pump. So if we add all this stuff up together, we're right at about $50. So now that $10 exciting purchase from Petco has now become $50. So every tank I want to get and put online is $50. I've never really thought this out before. And as the numbers begin to climb, I don't like really figuring out what it is that I've spent all the way. And if you guys don't mind, please don't tell my wife, unless she watches this video, and then she's just going to find out. So, all right, so we're at $50 for a 10-gallon tank. So you ask, Jason, what about your monthly charges to run this tank? You've got electricity, you've got water, you've got all these other things. So what about that cost? Well, I got an answer for you. So let's talk about electricity. So right now I pay a little less than 8 cents for a kilowatt hour. The Gemco pump, based upon that, uses about $4.14 a month. So divide that by 50 tanks, that's about 8 cents per tank to run a sponge for 30 days. The next thing we have in there is I have a 12,000 BTU air conditioner / heater. That cost about $57 a month. Now that one's a little bit difficult to figure because it depends on what time of year to how long the compressor comes on or how long the heater's on. So we're just going to use a roundabout figure and figure that about $57 a month. So that's about $1.14 per tank to keep the tanks cooled or heated. Now, if you want to put a heater in there, you're talking about a whole different animal, because now you're putting a 100 watt or 50 watt or something heater in there. That's going to cost a lot more, because the Gemco pump that I have is 70 watts. And so if you put a 50 watt heater in there, you're using almost the same. So that's going to cost you quite a bit more. Okay, so what's next? What about food? What about the food that we feed the fish? So I figured I spend about $25 a month between buying dry food and frozen food. So divide that out between 50 tanks, you've got about 50 cents per tank per month. Okay, well, what about water? So let's say on average, I change 50% of the water every 2 weeks out of a 10-gallon tank. So what does that come to? Well, right now I pay about $3.27 per 1,000 gallons of water. So that comes out to about 2 cents per tank per month to do that 50% water change. So if you did it every single week, then it would be 4 cents a month. If you did it 2 times a month, it would only be 2 cents a month. So the water is extremely nominal when it comes to doing water changes on the tank. So let's add all those figures up together, and what does it cost per month to run one 10-gallon tank? It's about $1.79 a month to run one of these 10-gallon tanks. All right, so I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope you've learned something from this. I hope you have a little bit of better idea of what it costs to try to run a fish room, or what does it cost to simply have a couple of tanks running, maybe to have just a little bit better idea. Now granted, some things are going to be a little bit different because your electricity charges may be higher or maybe lower than mine, or water's higher or maybe lower. But either way, you get kind of a roundabout figure so that you know about what you're looking at if you're looking into getting out there and starting your own fish room. So I appreciate you guys stopping by. If you got any comments, if you got anything maybe that I missed, I'm sure there's probably something that I missed out of this. Please leave a comment below and tell me. I'd love to hear about your guys' Black Friday experience when you were out shopping. I went out looking just for some random fish stuff and never really came across anything. I saw one kind of cool beta tank I've been debating buying that should have bought because it's 50% off, and I didn't buy it, and I thought I could get home and get online, and it wasn't available online, so I wasn't able to buy it. So be sure and leave comments below. If you haven't subscribed again, please be sure and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for stopping by, and God bless.